I was like, yeah, marine biologist. I was like, nah, he's an idiot. Hello everyone, it's Maria and welcome to my channel. I watched Avatar: The Way of Water and I have stuff to say. This video is going to be divided in 4 parts. In the first one, I'm going to talk about the movie in terms of entertainment. In the second part, I'm going to talk about the environmental messaging of the movie. In the third part, I'm going to talk about the post-Avatar depression syndrome. And at the end, I will be addressing the controversy James Cameron found himself in. And of course, spoilers. This video is going to be filled with spoilers. You have been warned. So let's start. All right, so I didn't love the first Avatar. I thought it was beautiful, visually beautiful, but I didn't love the story. I didn't love the characters. I really did not like Jake. And that really didn't change within the second movie, but I liked the second movie fairly more than I liked the first one. Maybe the fact that it was passed in the water and near the water most of the time, maybe that also played a role. But overall, I did enjoy the second movie more than I did the first one. I mean, I don't even know if this needs to be said. Visually, this is a stunning movie. There were points in which I didn't know if I was watching humans, what was real and what wasn't. Everything looks so real in this movie. It's unbelievable. And it's a very long movie. It's around 3 hours and 10 minutes, and I was never bored. So that tells you already something. It's a beautifully made, very entertaining movie. However, there were things I didn't like. I didn't like Jake. I still don't like Jake. I didn't like him in the first movie, and I still don't like him in this movie. I don't know why. I cannot really pinpoint the reason why I don't like him, but I don't. However, he's not the only main character in this movie. In the first movie, we kind of follow a romance relationship developing between him and Neytiri. In this movie, we follow more the relationships between members in a family, between father and mother and children, and between siblings with themselves. And we also follow each individual one of them trying to deal with their own personal problems. The thing is, I felt like I didn't care as much about the characters as I should have. Because, for example, when Neytiri died, I don't think I was as sad as I was supposed to be. Like, it's not even comparable with how sad I was when the whale died. That was heart-wrenching for me. I have a friend who told me, Maria, that says more about you than the movie. Maybe that is true. I'm someone who usually really cares when a beloved character in a movie dies. I feel very deeply when I'm really ingrained in a story. So I was kind of surprised that I didn't care so much that Neytiri died. I felt like I wasn't very emotionally connected to the characters except Loak. And I think that's because he was emotionally connected to the whale and I didn't want Payam, what was his name? Payakan, and I didn't want Payakan to suffer. I also think Loak was the only character who had strong character development throughout the movie. Like all the other characters, I feel like they started where they ended up. There wasn't much character development overall except for Loak. I was super invested in Kiri's character at the beginning. I was super invested in her relationship with Eywa and who her dad is. I really think she doesn't have an dad. She's probably just a daughter of Eywa, but I was really invested in her and I thought she was going to be my favorite character. But at some point, like midway through the movie, it's like they just forgot she existed and like she just almost completely disappeared until she started magically controlling the bioluminescent squids, which was kind of cool, like a nice effect. It was beautiful. All the lights was very nice. And I mean, visually, the movie was all around visually stunning. That's the other issue I had with the movie, but this was maybe also a bit my fault. When I watched the movie, I didn't know that there was going to be a sequel. So when the movie finished, I was like, yo, is this all? The bad guy's still there, the sky people are still colonizing the planet, the family is still sort of like trying to deal with their new identity. It's not like anything really, you know, was finished, ended. There was not like a clear end to the story. And I thought this was intentionally done by James Cameron as a way to say, the story of our planet is also not done. I thought maybe that was the reason, but my dad, I watched this with my dad, he said, no, Maria, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a sequel. I don't think a movie like this would end in this way if they didn't plan for a sequel. And it turns out he was right. I came out of the movie feeling unsatisfied with the ending, but now I know there's a sequel, so it makes sense. I think the action is really well done. Again, I was never bored. But I wouldn't have minded a little bit less of that and a bit more character development. But otherwise, I enjoyed it. I wasn't bored. It was entertaining. I recommend watching it in theaters because visually it's stunning, and I recommend. Let's talk about honestly the story that I think the creators of this movie really want to talk about, which is the relationship of humans with nature. And yes, I'm going to say humans because this is clearly an analogy to what is happening in our planet Earth. What I think James Cameron and the creators of these movies do very well is make you feel like nature itself is a character. For me, one of the most emotional parts of Avatar: The Way of Water was when the Sky People ships are approaching Pandora and they completely decimate all the forests around the area where they are landing. Visually, that worked so well. I teared up a little. They do such a great job in evoking emotions when nature is being destroyed. The soundtrack plays a huge part in it as well, of course. The music together with the visuals, I think it works perfectly. And also through the way the Na'vi interact with the world. You are kind of experiencing this character of nature through the Na'vi who are part of nature as well. And this falls into a philosophy of living called deep ecology, which is a philosophy in which humans see themselves as part of nature, as one with everything around them, rather than seeing nature as something they have to control and dominate. This was and still is the philosophy of a lot of indigenous people. One fantastic example of the Na'vi being in touch and in one with nature rather than feeling like they have to conquer it is the relationship they have with the whales. They see the whales as their equal. I'm sorry, they're not whales, they are tulkun. In contrast to the then Sky People or the human who then come and feel like they just need to kill these whales, and that's what makes them like cool. Yeah, I mean, that scene with the mom whale and the baby whale, jeez Christ, that was so sad. I can't. Especially when you think that things like this really happen. It just breaks my heart. I really liked also the fact that they mention, before that, why is it that the only marine biologist in this movie, in a movie about the beauty of the ocean, the only marine biologist is an idiot? I mean, all praise to Jermaine. I love that man. I miss Flight of the Conchords, and he did a good job, I guess. I mean, he doesn't have a really important role, but they could have made the marine biologist a bit more likable. He cared about the whales, and he did talk about the fact that they are more intelligent than humans, which I thought was an interesting thing to add in the movie, because marine mammals do have areas of their brain that seem to be more developed than human brains, so we still don't know what that means. There is a chance that maybe they have higher cognitive abilities in some fields that humans. And I like the fact that they kind of sort of allure to that in the movie. In the movie, the whales are literally super intelligent and can communicate with the Na'vi. Yeah, why did they make this guy such an idiot? You know, like a completely spineless marine biologist. You know, on the other hand, it's really like, I felt attacked. They do portray a bit this caricature of a scientist who only cares about data and completely forgets about the subject that he is studying. And I kind of felt attacked by that, because I have to say that during my PhD, there were times in which I only saw data. I was like, data, analyze. I forgot even what I was studying at some point. But of course, in defense of my peers, I don't think I know any marine biologist, especially one that studies marine mammals, that would ever be okay with what was happening in those situations in Pandora, right? Yeah. And I think the movie just nails it in terms of transmitting the feeling that we are all part of nature. When the bad guys arrive, I forgot their names, and I'm just gonna call him the bad guy. When he arrives and he's talking to this general, there's this exposition bit where she tells them that the reason why they are colonizing Pandora is because they've destroyed Earth. It's becoming uninhabitable, and that's why they are there. However, they destroyed Earth doing exactly what they are doing to Pandora. So it's like they didn't really learn. It does feel a lot like what's happening here in terms of climate change, in terms of all those things we know about. We know we are heading in that direction, and yet we seem to continue heading in that direction. We are all dependent on nature. We are a part of nature. I mean, without nature, we would not have evolved to what we are today. Without the phytoplankton and the trees to photosynthesize, we would never have the oxygen in the air we breathe. Without them, we are pretty much screwed. And without the entire ecosystem that supports everything that we need in order to obtain food, in order to have clean water, clean air. These are all very complex and vibrant and lively ecosystems that, if destroyed, are catastrophic not only because of their intrinsic value, but it's also going to be catastrophic for us. And I think these were themes that were really well explored in the movie. Now I want to talk about the post-Avatar depression syndrome. After watching the first movie, a lot of people felt depressed and felt hopeless. Some people felt like that because they were sad they would never visit a place as beautiful as Pandora. Others felt sad because they felt hopeless for humanity and they felt like the world is just going to end. I felt like that while watching the movie, while watching the whaling, when the ships arrived and destroyed the forest. I felt all of that sort of hopelessness rising in me. But I am so used to thinking about this since I started studying, because it is what I studied. You know, I studied marine biology and plastic pollution, that I kind of learned how to live with this feeling that I occasionally have, that we are just all doomed. If you feel sad because you think you will never see something as beautiful as Pandora, I challenge you to go to a patch of nature close to you. Go to a park, to the mountain, to the river, and observe everything around you. But listen, look at the flowers, at the leaves, at the insects, and you will see that actually the nature here on Earth is also pretty dope. And if you live near the ocean, and if you have the chance, and if you don't live near the ocean, but you have the chance, go snorkeling. You don't need to be in the tropics to go snorkeling and see awesome things. Even if there's only sand, even if you are in a beach just full of sand, even in the sand, you can see really cool stuffs. And secondly, I also would recommend that you contact people that work with anything related to the environment. It can be in person, which honestly is what I would recommend the best. If that would be too much for you, contact them online. Find forums online that talk about these things. You will find that there's a lot of people doing their best to avoid, what you see happening in Pandora. You will find people who are having the same thoughts as you and who are actively doing something against it. And you will feel like maybe not everything is as bleak as it might sometimes feel or seem. Go touch grass and go find communities. Email an environmental organization near you. Ask them if they have events in which you can participate or that you can join for free. Ask if you can volunteer. Just join maybe an online meeting. Honestly, this helps me a lot. So I really hope that it will do the same for you. I just want to quickly address the controversy James Cameron found himself in, because a lot of people asked me to comment, and not a lot of it, a couple of people messaged me asking me for my opinion. In case you don't know what this is about, during the world tour for promoting Avatar: The Way of Water, James Cameron and the actors attended a show in Japan to promote the movie where there was a dolphin show, where the dolphins were doing tricks and, and there was an audience and clapping with the trainer. A dolphin show. You can find this video online. I'm not going to show it here because of copyright reasons. I'm not sure I can, but basically you do see James Cameron and the actors coming in on stage, then they sit down, there's clearly a pool, a dolphin show pool, and then they talk a little bit and a dolphin show starts. There were a lot of people who were not happy about this. Honestly, I understand. I am against dolphin shows. There's something to be said about keeping dolphins in a sanctuary that can no longer live in the wild, or dolphins that are sick. Though I understand that. I understand that there are dolphins nowadays that cannot live in the wild anymore. That is something else entirely. However, in terms of dolphin shows, there's no reason for why we still have them. It struck everyone as very odd that James Cameron would accept to do this, because the message of his movie is exactly that humans should not, or the beings should not try to control nature. Rather, they should try to live in harmony with it. And that's exactly the opposite of what you do when you capture dolphins into a tiny pool and make them do tricks for you. So that was very confusing for everyone. But then James Cameron put out a statement, and he did say that he did know that this show was going to happen. He only found out the moment he entered the stage. You can read his statement online, but basically he said he was like dumbfounded when he realized what was about to happen, and that if he knew, he would have never accepted to do it. He would have never accepted this show to be part of the promotional tour for Avatar: The Way of Water. And call me naive all you want, but I am inclined to believe him. I mean, I don't know the man personally, obviously, but given all, his interviews and the messages he puts out with his movies, I believe that he would not have been okay with this show had he known. And then he also comments that when you're in the moment, you're kind of caught by surprise. He didn't really know what to say. He felt like he was also a guest in Japan and in this aquarium, so he felt like he should meet the people halfway where they are, which is something I understand. But on the other hand, he says that looking back now, he also wishes he would have said something more, because at some point he does say something like, jokingly, oh, I'm sure that the dolphins are happy. Or I think, no, he says, oh, I'm sure that the dolphins were asked to be here. There was like some sort of joke he said. And he says that in hindsight, he wishes he would have said something more. But, I mean, as the animal lover and dolphin lover in me, who wants to minimize these animals' suffering, I also would wish that he went on a rant about how keeping dolphins in captivity is bad. If you deliver a message in the wrong way, it can have the opposite effect as well. So, I mean, who am I to judge how he should have acted? I don't know. I want to think that if I were in his position, I would have done things differently, but I don't know. Like, I am not the director of $1 billion, maybe not billion, but millions of dollars movie who is in this tour, like stressed, thinking, I don't know. So yes, I think it's good that people talk about it. I think it's good that people were sort of, in a way, outraged and talked about it. But I don't think we now should go ahead and think that everything he says is dumb and stupid and that he doesn't mean what he said and that he really doesn't care about the environment at all. Like, I don't know if he does or not, but the reality is, given everything he puts out, it seems like he really does. I think it was good that people talked about it and that people pointed out that this is kind of weird. Why are you doing that? But now I also think he's also human, and even though it was a very unfortunate incident, I'm sure he's learned his lesson, and let's just hope that it doesn't happen in the future. Right, so this was a very long video. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to support what I do here, you can check out my Patreon down below and consider contributing, or just share this video with someone you think might like it and like it if you liked it. Comment something down below. Let me know what you thought about the movie. Let me know what you thought about the controversy. And if you have watched the movie, how it made you feel. Let's have this conversation here. We can start this community here. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. Thank you so much to my patrons over on Patreon, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.